So now that we have our character able to shoot a projectile, we're now going to have something happen when the player, when we have the player touch the projectile. Now, two things, we're gonna have two different events, two different overlaps. One's going to happen when the player overlaps the sprite, the enemy sprite, and one's going to happen when the projectile touches the enemy tile. So we are going to, let me go over to my space here. We're going to add two tile overlaps. Scene category, down with tiles, on sprite of kind player overlaps tile at location. We're going to grab two of those. I'm going to drag one in, and then I'm just going to duplicate it. Now the first one, I'm going to keep as it is, and I'm going to change the tile to, I don't know, it's highlighted like that. I'm going to change the tile to my enemy that I put on my tile map that I created. I'm going to do the same thing for the second one. I'm going to make it the little enemy, but I'm going to change the word player to projectile. Now, when I, the player, overlap the enemy, I want a bad thing to happen. I want it to remove a life. I'm also going to have it set me back to the beginning. We learned previously about the spawn points. I'm going to have it set me back to the beginning, and I am going to have it lose a life. You could also have the enemy disappear if you wanted. We learned that too. So to take away a life, I'm going to go to info. I'm going to go to life, and I'm going to do change life by -1. And I'm going to stick that in there. I'd previously gone to on start and added a block to set my life at the beginning to 3. You can change that to whatever you want. Now I'm going to have it if I touch an enemy, I'm going to lose a life, but I'm going to have it respawn me backwards because otherwise it's just going to give you a game over. So previously we did this. We set a spawn point. In my case, it's this rock at the beginning, this tile. And we said place coffee on top of random and then that tile. So I'm just going to duplicate that. And I'm going to put it into there. So now, when we overlap, you can see it took a life away and it put me back at the beginning. Now for the second overlap, we're going to have events happen when the projectile hits it. When the projectile hits it, we want to remove that enemy sprite. So we have actually the block for that as well. Over in our overlap here, we did set tile at location, and this blank tile means it's going to turn whatever it is invisible. So again, I'm just going to duplicate that. If you forget how, actually I'll show you how to do that. It's in the scene category. It's called set tile at tile map column row. And I'm going to grab this word location and I'm going to hover it over where it's tile map and it's going to replace it. So when I touch it now with the projectile, if I hit it with the projectile, it makes it disappear as soon as it hits it. And maybe you want to add a sound effect in there. Maybe you want to add, I'm going to add in like every time I destroy an enemy, I get another point. So I'm going to add a change score in there. You could do a sound effect. Pew pew. You could also put the pew pew up in the projectile. There we go. That's how you add a static, not moving enemy that you can destroy.